Hey, Trey, how are you?
Doing well. How are you?
Doing great. Ready to rock and roll?
Yeah, man. You need me to do anything recording wise on this side?
No.
Nice.
Hopefully nothing will crash or break. If it
Exactly
does,
right.
we'll just be sad and it'll be fine.
That's right.
I'm joined right now by Trey Kirby. Trey, how's it going?
Doing great. Getting closer to the NBA season here. Chicago Sky lost a tough one last night in overtime, but it's all good. The Braves are going to the LCS. Things are good in the Kirby household.
How is life in the Braves bandwagon? I dallied on the bandwagon. I want to say, was I 9 years old? I want to say I watched, there was like a Dave Justice. Maybe is Terry Pendleton? Is that a name? Is that a guy?
1991 MVP Terry Pendleton.
I don't watch baseball, like literally at all. I know nothing about baseball, but I do have these vague memories of riding the bandwagon. I remember lots of heartbreak. Is it still the case for the Braves?
Oh, 100%. I actually hopped on the bandwagon, like you're saying, Keith, a million years ago, 1991, Terry Pendleton, MVP, worst to first. Then they lost to the Minnesota Twins in the World Series, if I'm not mistaken. But I've been a Braves fan since back then, basically because they had Deion Sanders. Like you're saying, they would win the division. They would have the best team in the league, and then they would usually lose in the playoffs, and that does seem to be the case. We finally got down here to Atlanta in 2013, and it has been more of the same, like making it to the playoffs, doing well, and then blowing it spectacularly. Last year, of course, they had a 3-1 lead on the Los Angeles Dodgers.
Oh, no.
Lost that one to the Dodgers, who ended up winning the World Series. So, yeah, you may not have been tuned into the Braves for the past 30 years, but not much has changed.
Not much has changed. Which Braves player from the last 3 decades would, in your opinion, make the best NBA player? Who would have been the best crossover athlete? Like how tall was Tom Glavine? Could he have been a post player in a different era?
Okay, Tom Glavine, that's not a bad one.
Maybe a 50s, 60s NBA, kind of a stiff.
David Justice seemed like a tall guy to me, so I think that's
all right.
And what about Kenny Lofton? I think played for like Arizona State or Arizona, one of those teams. He played college basketball, leadoff hitter for Atlanta. So yeah, Kenny Lofton, he might be all right.
That's a fine answer. It's a fair answer. Well, let's get to basketball because I know, again, nothing about baseball. But before we get to basketball, as you know, we start off by talking about our breakfast. Trey, what was today's breakfast?
October is the 1 month a year that I actually eat cereal because, it's spooky season out here. So you saw my picture on Twitter a couple of days ago. I'm still working my way through that family-sized box of Count Chocula. Got the Frankenberry waiting on deck. A lot of people were getting after me saying, hey, where's the Boo Berry?
Yeah.
I'm not eating that much cereal. I don't know if I'm going to be able to go through 2 gigantic boxes, but if I do, I saw some people tweeting about Monster Mash, which is apparently all of these monster cereals mixed together in one big box. I don't want to miss the boat on that one. So if this is a one-time thing, I need to sample it for sure.
I've never heard of that. When you were saying it, I was thinking, I wonder what Count Chocula and Frankenberry would taste like mixed together. And they've already done it. What marketing genius, man.
They've thought of everything, Mainly they thought of cereals named after monsters, but they've done a good job with it. I think there's one called Fruit Brute as well that I've never had, but I don't know. Got to track that one down. Maybe get a decades old box off of eBay or something like that.
I would like to see. I've been experiencing this with cereal where like I eat cereal, but I'm like, what is this flavor? Like you eat Fruity Pebbles, you're like, what is this? I know this to be just, this is fruit. Specifically Fruity Pebbles, but like, what is this flavor? And like Apple Jacks, like what's Apple Jacks? No one knows. We talked about it earlier on the show, I think last week. I would like to see with some of these other sugary, maybe the monster cereals. Like, can we get a blind taste test? Like, can people tell them apart? Like, I know they have their own certain like flavors, but like if it was, what's the, oh man, I'm forgetting my cereal names. Isn't there like a, who's the Captain Crunch with berries?
Captain Crunch berries.
Captain Crunch berries are these the same thing as Frankenberries, or are there subtle differences?
If I were doing a blind taste test, I think the only thing I would really be able to differentiate is like chocolate from other, you know,
Yeah.
there's like standard sugar, which will be your Frosted Flakes. You got chocolate, which will be Cocoa Pebbles, Count Chocula. And then you've got the various fruit ones. Like, does an Apple Jack taste any different than a Frankenberry? Who knows?
Yeah, I would, I would contribute money for such a taste test. If it needed the funding, the research funding, I would do it. So you're a Bulls fan. As you said, the NBA season right around the corner. Are in fact the Bulls back?
Oh, the Bulls have been back, Keith. Not many people know this, but the Bulls have been back since January 5th, 2021. They had the first 20-point comeback in the league during the 21 season. It was against the Portland Trail Blazers. They trailed by 20. They finally made a valiant comeback. Zach LaVine had a huge fourth quarter. And that honestly, to me, was the first time I was like, oh, this team is not the same team that we were watching during the Jim Boylan era. You know, things progressed from there. The Bulls had an incredible first half to the season last year. Zach LaVine became an all-star. They were actually buyers at the trade deadline, which was a shock to a lot of Chicago fans. And then basically as soon as Nikola Vucevic came to the Bulls, Zach LaVine went out due to COVID protocols. And it happened during, I think, a 5-game road trip for the Bulls, definitely during the hardest part of their season. And between trying to integrate a new player and losing their best player, things just did not go well for the Bulls in the second half of the season. So, you know, once the season played out, I think they finished 31-41, just outside of the play-in tournament. People thought, same old Bulls. You know, they've been really struggling basically since they traded Jimmy Butler. But that was the big thing to me that was different this summer, was that when Jimmy Butler came off his career best season, which Zach LaVine just did last year, Jimmy Butler got traded right away because the Bulls weren't sure that building around him was going to be the right idea. But as we saw with the Vooch move at the trade deadline last year, and then everything the Bulls did this summer, bringing in Lonzo Ball, Alex Caruso, and then ultimately DeMar DeRozan as well, clearly they think Zach LaVine is good enough to build around. And I don't think it was a surprise, at least not to me, and at least not to some other Bulls fans, that once the Bulls finally realized they had a player that was worth building around and focused on building around him, the team became less of a laughingstock. It seemed like for the previous 3 seasons, the only time you were hearing about the Bulls is if there was a fight in the locker room or perhaps a mutiny because their coach is making them punch in with a time clock when they're showing up. Now the Bulls were making news because free agents wanted to take meetings and perhaps they're a young team on the rise. This is a team that's in a major market that has been operating like a small market team for basically since the dynasty era ended, at least since the Derrick Rose era went downhill. So yeah, I think the Bulls are back just because they are trying to win and using the might that they have behind them, being in the 3rd biggest market in the league.
Yeah, I mean, some of those laughingstock moments were self-inflicted. I mean, if you create a custom punch card system for your team, you did that yourself. Like, what are we supposed to do?
And if you're calling timeouts with like the last 47 seconds to get a G League player in to run a play, and this is happening multiple times a year, to where the fact that the other team's announcers are like, can we just go home? Yeah, it was a dark couple of years for Chicago. No doubt.
So they became buyers. Is part of them being buyers that because of the Jimmy Butler situation, like at that time, they felt like, all right, we don't want to be kind of good. We want to be really, really good. And so we're not certain Jimmy Butler's the guy. And so we're going to choose the rebuild route. We're going to try to tear it down, get some assets, and maybe then we'll rebuild and be even better. And then perhaps they were an informative example for teams taking that path, that maybe it's not always a good idea. Like maybe being pretty good is pretty nice. And so now they've said, you know what? The rebuild went terribly. I mean, honestly, like a lot of the draft picks didn't quite pan out. Bulls traded away a lot of them over the last year, it felt like. But now they're like, listen, we're not going to do that. We are a big market team. We can afford to maybe be like Miami, trade away picks and not worry about it. And so like that like influenced the decision. Like the lean years after Jimmy Butler, they said, you know what, forget this. We're no longer being patient, quote unquote.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what happened, because during the end of the Jimmy Butler era, one of the things you would always hear from the Bulls front office is their long playoff streak they had. I think it was maybe 7 seasons once Butler was finally traded. And yeah, they definitely made the playoffs 7 seasons, but it wasn't like they were a threatening team once Derrick Rose went downhill, and it was just Jimmy Butler's team. Remember, they brought in Rondo and Dwayne Wade, and that was kind of like a head-scratching moment where you're like, I thought you said you wanted to be younger and more athletic. This doesn't seem like you're really building for the future. It was just trying to extend that little bit of a playoff streak. But as soon as Jimmy Butler was traded, the Bulls became one of the worst teams in the league. I think they had the fewest wins since Jimmy Butler was traded as a franchise. So yeah, being in a big market, and especially Jerry Reinsdorf is used to success from the Bulls with going through the dynasty, with the Chicago White Sox being a pretty solid team in the MLB. I know you're not following along. They had a tough one this year too, Keith, but the White Sox have been pretty decent lately. I think it just became too much of missing the playoffs, similar to the New York Knicks. It didn't always go well for the Bulls trying to get back into the playoffs. It didn't go well for the Knicks always trying to get back into the playoffs. But franchises like the Bulls, like the Knicks, like the Lakers, you can't run a team out there that keeps missing the playoffs, that is on the lower end of the standings. So, yeah, I do think the lean years since Jimmy Butler made it more palatable to Bulls leadership to just do what they can to get back into the postseason.
So since the Vooch trade didn't necessarily work out last season with them missing the play, and largely due to if it was Zach LaVine being out, because of that trade, the Magic ended up with the Bulls pick. Do you find yourself secretly or outwardly, publicly hoping that Franz Wagner is going to be a bust?
Well, I also cheer for the University of Michigan, so I was happy to see a top 10 player. But for me, it was fine. I was like, you know what? The Bulls have picked 7th so many times in a row here that I'm happy to not have a pick. They have Patrick Williams. He's been out, but he's going to be returning pretty soon. So they do have one young guy. Kobe White hasn't totally panned out. Maybe he'll be in a better role for him this year, but I was fine trading a first round pick if it was going to not be the number 1 pick, right? Like, I mean, at least it was a little bit protected, but I don't know. There was so many middling mid-round or mid-lottery picks that, okay, fine. I was a little upset to give up Wendell Carter Jr. I think he's got a future in the league as an Al Horford type of defender, but okay, I'm saying all this and the Bulls didn't even make the play-in last year. Yeah. If they make the playoffs, I'll be totally okay giving up on Franz Wagner.
All right, that's good. So this team is very interesting and dynamic, I think, from anyone, an outsider perspective of just seeing how all these pieces fit. DeMar DeRozan, he's an interesting, exciting player. Sometimes gets criticized maybe by the NBA intelligentsia for this long streak of a negative plus minus run that he's on, but like he seems awesome. He seems like a facilitator, a guy you can go to down the stretch, which can be very helpful. Vooch and LaVine, both all-stars last season. Like this, it feels like they could be an offensive powerhouse. How confident are you right now that the Bulls can work out, like kind of integrating all those pieces together? How confident are you that like Billy Donovan is going to not have stretches of the second and fourth quarter where none of those 3 players are on the court?
It's a good problem to have, having too many rotation pieces, but you're right. I do think there will be some growing pains figuring out kind of who should be the quarterback of the second unit. My guess is it'll probably be DeRozan, and they'll empower him to make plays and really dominate the ball for those second units. But I think that, Vooch and DeRozan will be able to play together. I think that Vooch and LaVine will obviously be able to play together. And I think that LaVine and DeRozan will be able to play together, and taking some playmaking responsibilities off Zach LaVine's plate is only going to help him. I think he had a massive jump last year, had his career best season with great efficiency. But there were still times last year, especially in fourth quarters, where LaVine had to carry the Bulls and he just didn't necessarily have the juice left in the fourth quarter, or a defense was more clued into him and saying, we got to take away him and there's not going to be other playmakers there. So as we saw in the Olympics, I mean, the Bulls are not a dream team Olympics team, but Zach LaVine doing less offensively, he had a lot more to give on the defensive end as well. And with his athleticism, he can at least be a nuisance in the passing lanes and turning defense into offense. I think that LaVine's game, while the counting numbers might take a little bit of a step back, that would be incredible for the Bulls if he doesn't have to necessarily be Devin Booker every single night. If he doesn't have to be Damian Lillard every single night, if he's able to just be a Zach LaVine and be an efficient 25-point per game scorer who can do it from the outside and from the inside. I'm a little worried to see exactly how the Bulls build out their rotations, and I'm sure it will take a few months for them to figure out exactly how they want to do that. But I'm encouraged, that we're not going to be running offense through Thomas Satoransky and Garrett Temple off the second unit. It'll be more exciting to bring in some guys who who know what they're doing and have contributed at a high level. I think a lot of people's opinions of DeRozan are still set from his time in Toronto, since that's where he made his name. And, you know, the Spurs haven't been on top of the world since he went to San Antonio, but he's turned himself into a great playmaker, still an efficient player, and he gets to the line, which I think is going to be huge for the Bulls since they didn't do that necessarily last year. Somebody who can just get those easy points is going to be big time.
Who do you think is going to lead the Bulls in assists this season? The obvious candidates being Lonzo Ball or DeMar DeRozan. Both those guys around 6-7 assists the past couple of years.
Yeah, it'll be one of those two guys. My guess is that it would be Lonzo. He's talked about kind of being the point guard being the point guard in the rotation as compared to New Orleans, where Zion was handling the ball and he kind of became a Mario Chalmers style point guard where he's running things in transition and able to catch and shoot in the half court. I think he will pile up transition assists. I think the Bulls should be a great dunking team and a great running team. So you would imagine the hit-ahead passes from Lonzo will be there. But if DeRozan's the man on the second unit, I can see him piling up assists. It'll be between those guys, and it'll be a little bit determined on what Lonzo's role is when he's not playing alongside the starters. If they're giving him stuff to do offensively in the half court along with the second unit, that would be big. But you would think Caruso will handle some of the point guard duties there. Also, Kobe White, I assume, will be handling the ball a little bit off the second unit. So Lonzo's majority of assists probably come in the half or in the full court with the starters, but I still think he's going to be solid playing primarily a distributor role.
So your official answer was Lonzo? I got to have one or the other. I'm sorry.
Yeah, buddy.
I mean, it was very good nuanced analysis, but we need bullet point answers for these things. So Patrick Williams, I guess it feels like they're depending a lot on him to be like the starting power forward. I don't know if we don't care. Maybe we don't care about power forwards anymore in the NBA, but this team does look light on size outside of Vucevic. Is it just you're hoping a lot for a big leap from him? Can he guard other fours? Who else is going to guard fives? Am I forgetting someone on this team? Like, I feel like I can't even
have Tony Bradley.
I do like Tony Bradley, schooled in the art of the screen assist.
Yeah, there you go. And as soon as he signed with the Bulls, he said he was going to be wearing number 13 for Joakim Noah. So he won some fans over there.
Oh, nice.
I don't think he's going to be locking guys down. That's why Patrick Williams is a huge X factor for this team, because it kind of feels like he's going to have to guard everybody, or at least anybody who is over 6'6". Yeah, him getting back and showing what got him drafted number 4, I think is going to be big time for the Bulls. Last year, they would sick him on anybody. You know, they had him guarding Kawhi. They had him guarding LeBron. They had him guarding Giannis. Basically, the same thing he'll do this year. Anybody who comes into the game who's maybe not, you know, a Damian Lillard or Donovan Mitchell-sized scorer will be Patrick Williams' assignment. He was up for it a lot of times last year. He's not necessarily going to be guarding on the perimeter, I don't think. You know, I don't think he's going to be a lockdown Kawhi Leonard defender, which a lot of Bulls fans like to compare him to. You know, Kawhi's the claw. They call Patrick Williams the paw, which is a good nickname, but a big thing to live up to, trying to be the next Kawhi Leonard.
Are those just his initials? Is his middle name Allen or something?
I don't know about his middle name, but sure, Anthony
or Patrick PA. We'll get the PA from Patrick. Yeah, I'm with you. So PA and then
sure.
W. Okay, I'm got you.
He's got to be back. And
the Paw Patrol. Anyone tried that? Could he be the Paw?
He probably has a section at the United Center where all of his fans sit.
My kids will be happy. Yeah,
Paul, yeah, exactly right. But I do think that his growth is going to be big for the Bulls, kind of determining where their ceiling is. Take a look at the Hawks. They had DeAndre Hunter, a similar sort of player who had a tough rookie season, came back for his second season before he got injured. Looked like he might have been the second best guy on the Hawks, and he really raised their ceiling. If Patrick Williams is able to show that kind of growth, if he's more confident getting to the rim, getting to his shots, and taking wide open shots, which he should have more of this year, I think he can be big for the Bulls, but he is key to their development.
Yeah, he's definitely key. And it's like one of my concerns for the Bulls outside of, I still got some Billy Donovan scars. Outside of, like Patrick Williams and then Vucevic, like if Vucevic misses a game, which is, he's going to miss a game, probably. Like if he misses 5 or 6 games, like who's going to play? Is it Tony Bradley? Is it Alize Johnson?
Probably. Probably both of them. So Patrick Williams missing time in the preseason. They've gone with Javonte Green as his replacement. So I think he'll be a bit of an energy guy. He's been nice in the preseason, but who knows with the preseason. Alize Johnson, he hits the boards. So I think I like that. I think he said he's going to be the best rebounder in Chicago since Dennis Rodman. A nice claim.
Just going for the hits, man.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. They're playing to the crowd, and I love it. But yeah, like you're saying, Alize Johnson and Javonte Green, those are not necessarily the starters you want to see. And off the bench, it is going to be Tony Bradley. So DeRozan, I'm sure, will be a little bit of a backup big as well as a power forward who's going to be handling the ball. And Patrick Williams will probably slide up to the 5 a little bit, but, let's just hope that doesn't cut.
We'll just hope it doesn't happen.
If Vucevic misses 3 games, that's awesome. If he misses 30, that's kind of a disaster. No, you said Javonte Green's look nice in preseason. Preseason doesn't really matter.
I think preseason matters like a tiny bit. I also wonder, let's just say it. The Bulls right now in preseason, number 1 in defense, number 1 in net rating, look like the best team in the league. We could read a little bit, just a little, a tiny.
100%.
100%.
You would rather be the best preseason team of all time than not the best preseason team of all time. So
what do you think? Does getting repeatedly boat raced in the preseason matter at all? Because every time I want to say the Hornets lost by 68 on Wednesday. The time I watched them before that, the Grizzlies beat them by 35. Doesn't seem like a great sign.
Not good.
Every time I turn on the Pelicans, they're down by 25. That doesn't seem awesome. Is it just we don't have to worry about it, or are those signs are those fissures and cracks in the foundation where we should say I'm getting kind of nervous for your year?
Didn't the Steve Nash, Dwight Howard Lakers, didn't they go 0 for 8 in the preseason?
Yeah, they went defeated. As the Lakers right now are also 0 and 5 as we record.
Yeah, and that was indicative of how their season went. So
but to be clear though, they made the finals. I mean, right? That Lakers team?
Yeah, they went super deep. No, they really, really struggled. They lost to the Dallas Mavericks, I feel like.
Oh, which one? I'm just thinking of the one that lost to the Pistons that was the huge upset. I can't remember my years.
I'm thinking Steve Nash, Dwight Howard, this is going to be fun with Kobe Bryant and Pau Gasol. And it ended up not being fun.
Not fun.
But for me, I think if you're winning by 60 in the preseason, it matters. And if you're losing, you have to think that it doesn't matter. The good thing with the Bulls is, a couple of 40-point victories, people went deep into the stats to show that, there is a little correlation between your offense being really good in the preseason and your offense continuing to be good in the regular season. So, I don't know. I think it matters less the more veteran team you are. So the Lakers, I would be less worried about as compared to the Hornets. The Hornets, it feels like every one of their best players is a guard, and their only big guy that's around is PJ Washington and Mason Plumlee. So that could be a problem, but I don't know. If it continues into the first week of the season, that's when you really get worried.
I also have just the bad vibes from New Orleans. I feel like they're just emanating. We have a foot scan on Zion. Maybe he'll be back, and we're down by 30 points once again. We're not sure who's going to be playing, but they got Thomas Satoransky and Garrett Temple to right the ship. Yeah,
that's right. Jonas Valanciunas is around too. And something that's kind of stuck out to me while I've been looking into preseason stuff and, just doing preview podcasts and all that sort of thing is that everybody has a different guard who's going to be good for the Pelicans this year. Some think it's Devontae Graham. Some think it's Nickeil Alexander-Walker. Kyra Lewis was a hot name last year.
Yes.
You have 3 point guards. You actually don't have a point guard. And that's the problem. There are 3 candidates there.
Yeah.
If there are 3 candidates for the breakout, maybe one of them hits or maybe nobody has just established themselves yet. So I don't know. Coming into the season with Zion on the injured list, not what you want to see.
Yeah. Let's wrap up with this. You're a well-known bearded man. You have a very large beard. I come and go. I've been oscillating. I feel kind of inadequate right now with my beard compared to yours, but I do like it when my NBA players start growing beards. I like it when a coach messes around with the beard. I'm curious if there's any guy out there, any player or coach who you look at and you're like, man, that guy, he could really grow a beard. And maybe it's a guy who needs a fresh look. Maybe who needs to reinvent himself as a player. It doesn't, maybe not even maybe it could be a good player, but who's someone in the league that you're like a huge beard, I feel like would change his life.
I would love to see Luka Doncic with a big beard and slightly longer hair. He still looks like a 16-year-old. Like the first pictures you see of Luka Doncic when they're saying, whoa, look how great he was as a 16-year-old over in the EuroLeague. He still looks the same to me. And I feel like, I don't know if this is true, but I feel like Dirk Nowitzki's career really took off when he started growing his hair a little bit longer. He got a little bit scruffier in the face. Obviously, Dirk and Luka are pretty close. We just saw him at a Cowboys game together. Maybe Dirk passes it on saying, hey, man, it's time to be an adult here. Get that beard on your face. Let your locks grow out a little bit. Let that stuff grow. Let it flow.
Let it
and
flow.
You'll be even better. I would love to see it. It'll just look like an adult man, like an old man. And I think that would be great for Luka.
I think it's a great suggestion. I kind of wish the whole Mavericks would just go for it. Like Porzingis, like what if Porzingis just said, you know what?
Porzingis with a beard, almost unimaginable.
It is unimaginable. It almost raises the question, like Luka, you can tell with the stubble, like, okay, he can grow a beard. Like Kristaps is always so clean shaven. I don't feel like I've ever seen like a 5 o'clock shadow. It makes me wonder, like, could he do it if it came down to it? Like,
man, that would be, that's a crazy one to imagine. I think that's a great call. I think that the Mavericks at one point when Dirk was there, they did playoff beards. So, playoff time, maybe Boban grows one out, Kristaps grows one out, Jalen Brunson, all these guys suddenly come in bearded. It's a tough look.
I got to tell you, one of my greatest disappointments in the last couple of years was when Harrison Barnes, when he was on, still on the Kings, a couple years ago on the Kings, said, I'm growing a playoff beard. I'm not shaving. I won't shave my hair or my face until we make the playoffs or the season ends. And then we had a COVID shutdown. Oh, and I was like, oh yeah, here we go. Here we go. It's going to look so good. And then he didn't do it. He came to the bubble. I was like, wow, what is this?
Yeah, he should have showed up looking like James Harden with a big, huge beard. That's a great call. They should have held him to it because, if you're waiting for the Sacramento playoff streak to break before you shave, you could be ripped.
I wish he was still going. He said
really
somebody's got to do it. Like Luke Walton should do it until we make the playoffs or I get fired. Just let it go.
Yeah, exactly. He would be on the hot seat and his beard would be on the hot seat as well.
Exactly. Well, Trey, thanks so much for coming on. Hope you have a wonderful bull season. Good luck with your Braves. Good luck with your Bears. And I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thanks for having me, Keith. Let's do it again sometime.
All right. Hey, thanks, man.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, buddy. Thanks for your time.
Do anything else?
No. What? Say what?
I don't know. Need me to do anything else?
No, not yet.
Cool.
All right. See you, man.
All right, that's it.
Here. Wait. Oh, yeah. Bang. All right, great. All right. I'm going to ask you about the We Believe Lakers. I'm going to ask you, whatever. Make it up as we go. All right.
That's how we do it.
It's now time for the last drop. I'm joined by my buddy, Lakers correspondent for Fast Break Breakfast, Damon Rangula. Damon, how's it going, man?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Did you accept your promotion to Lakers correspondent for Fast Break
Breakfast? I was feeling a little overwhelmed there. I didn't know that was happening.
We did not discuss it beforehand. We have not agreed to terms. I know there's going to be certain listeners outraged that they are not the ones. I'm thinking I know Harrison Fagan's going to be upset.
Yeah.
But no.
Listen, Harrison's had a good run, and I think he deserves to be brought down a little bit, so I endorse this.
Yes. You are here to give us everything we need, not only about the Lakers, but about the Lakers community. I feel like you're a spokesperson for the fandom.
I will take this responsibility with great humility.
Good. That's all we expect of Lakers fans. You guys, I think is it fair to say your backs are against the wall as a franchise?
Well, I just hope to exceed 538's projections, at this point. That's all we can ask for. The numbers are the numbers.
The numbers are the numbers, and they have you behind the Grizzlies, and I can't argue with that. There's no knowledge I have that could reasonably put the Lakers ahead of the Grizzlies, so I think I have to side with 538.
So is this a safe space, Keith?
No.
Okay.
No, this is being broadcast to lots of people.
Well, I'm going to pretend this is a safe space.
Okay,
I'm going to say something.
Good.
I have had so much 2013 Lakers PTSD from this preseason.
Mm.
That was the Nash, Dwight, Kobe Powell year.
Yeah.
And there was this combination of excitement. Oh my God, can you believe all these players are together? You know, this is crazy. Can't believe it happened. The Lakers recovered from a down year, made a big splash. You know, they got a star point guard. You know, it was very exciting. And then preseason starts, and you're like, okay, well, we haven't won a game. By the way, winless preseason in 2013.
That's
winless
right.
preseason so far in
That's
2021.
right. Yeah. We're recording this before you play the Kings on Thursday night, and we're just going to assume you guys are losing that game.
Listen, man. At this point, I'm so hungry for a win. I'll celebrate this preseason win if we can get past Luke Walton's Kings.
You guys are in a tough spot.
We're down bad.
We're down bad. So I had Trey Kirby on earlier. I mean, he made the comparison also to like that same
it's
Nash.
Hard. Yeah, it's hard. It's hard not to
Dwight Howard.
That team.
I misremembered. I was thinking back to like the Gary Payton year of like the 2000. Well, that's just misremembered because you guys fell on your face in the finals. No, no big deal.
Okay, so let's be honest. Yeah. That 2014 was not a failure. That was a chaotic season, right?
Yeah.
The 2013 team was a failure.
Yes,
And so we have to be patient. I get that. Also, because if you actually look at Russ's past few seasons, he's had slow starts every season. I don't know what it is. Maybe just at his age or whatever.
It's a tribute to Shaq.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a Shaquille O'Neal tribute.
He's going to get in shape on company time,
which Zion Williamson is trying out also. More respect to
you. Man. Did you see the pictures of him from 20 when he got drafted? That
listen, have you seen the pictures of me from the start of the pandemic until now? I'm not about to talk about any professional players.
Listen, the fact that somebody who's in my kind of shape is openly willing to mock Zion is like it's a sad state of affairs.
Going to the Lakers, I do think the comparison of like, you know, the Dwight Howard and Steve Nash seem like the perfect fits ever. Like I do. That was like shocking to the NBA because those guys we thought were like the perfect, absolute perfect complements to literally every team. Those were the ideal point guard and center you could put anywhere. So this, I don't feel the comparison is quite apt because Russell Westbrook is way over the hill, and we're still like, when it happened, we're like, the fit isn't great, but we assume they're all good enough to figure it out. So I'm not totally there for the comparison.
The key source of optimism that I come back to is that one thing is proven, and that's LeBron and AD's partnership, right? And it's like they're actually so good. And this is where actually 2013 is a bad example, is because LeBron and AD, just those two, are better than the amalgamation of talent that 2013 team was at that stage in their careers. So
that feels controversial, but I'll allow you to express that.
Yeah. I mean, even then, because Dwight was the youngest kind of in his prime superstar at that point, but he was hurt. He was dealing with back stuff. So that is the source of optimism where AD looks fresh. He did not look fresh at any point last year. Like, yeah, he got injured at the end, but even when he was playing, probably for 95% of the season, he just didn't look like himself. So he's looking more like himself. LeBron looks good physically. So those two will be good enough to kind of alleviate some of the growing pains the Lakers have. But that being said, when we're talking about this kind of talent, we're talking about championship, right? That's always the standard.
Well, and also we're sort of joking because clearly the Lakers are they're one of the betting favorites. They're like the second most probable champion according to the Vegas casinos. I know Lakers fans like to build that we believe. This is not the Orlando bubble. This is so when the Lakers won in 2019 and LeBron's like, nobody believed in us. The Lakers were literally the offseason betting favorites. They were the
no,
favorites.
they were not. No. Oh, this is revisionist history. No, they were not.
I have screenshots for it, man. Because I saw the Lakers go nuts.
538 had them at the bottom.
I'm not talking about 538. I'm talking about literal casinos. The Lakers were the betting favorite from off-season to preseason to regular season to when the season was paused for COVID. When the playoffs started, They were the betting favorite in every round. I think they were co-favorites with the Clippers at one point, and everyone was like, co-favorites with the Clippers? No one believes in us. And that's
Hashtag
still...
we believe. Listen, okay. By the way, this is not a reverse jinx on this point.
Yeah.
And I wish Burr was here for this.
Yeah.
I think the best value bet right now available to the NBA in any capacity.
And for entertainment purposes only, my lawyers are telling me.
And be responsible, 1-800 gambling.
No, we're just, this is just for fun.
This is
just entertainment. Yeah.
Bucks Warriors finals parlay is paying out at like plus 3,500 at places.
You know what? Because when you bet on things that can't happen, they give you great odds. The Warriors are bad.
Why do you think that? The Warriors are going to be awesome. What are you talking about?
I kind of hope the Warriors are going to be awesome because I do like Klay Thompson. And all right, if Jordan Poole is Steph Curry 2.0, like the preseason is showing us, okay, maybe it can happen. They're in a similar situation to the Lakers where all their extra pieces, you're like, that's a lottery team, guys.
Yeah.
Like Wayne Ellington and Kent Bazemore are your healthy options.
Yeah.
That's a tanking team usually. And so the same thing for the Warriors. Like if Kuminga's good, if Moses Moody's good, if James Wiseman is good, okay, then the Warriors are good. But right now it's Steph Curry and Draymond Green and a bunch of dudes and like the hope that Klay Thompson is good again. Don't tell me about what Otto Porter and Nemanja Bjelica is going to do. That's lottery talk. That's what teams that win 20 games say.
Listen, I'm trying to deflect as much away from the Lakers right now. You can tell how nervous I am.
I don't. You're going to be fine. I do like the pieces, although you're breaking your pieces. The loss of Taylor Horton-Tucker for a little bit, like that stings. I mean, Ariza is out for a bit, but literally opening night, is it Ariza or is it Ellington? Like who even plays on this team?
It's so obviously. So we got Russ, AD, LeBron. Those three spots are set. Now the question is, I think even though I do think that AD will play more 5 this year. I'm wondering if just the way the injuries have played out, that they go with the DeAndre for like 5 minutes a half and a formal just to start him. And then I do think that, it's always dangerous to read too much into the preseason, but this rookie, Hillbilly Kobe, Austin Reeves, he might not be a bad option to start just because of he just does like the dirty work and he shoots threes. Like I'm not kidding. Like, it's
Lakers and your white scrub.
Hey, we were right about Caruso.
Yeah, Caruso's pretty good. Are you jumping on the bandwagon for the Bulls? Are you doing a little Lonzo Ball Caruso? You gotta.
Yes,
at least,
I am.
You gotta enjoy that somewhat.
I think that people, DeMar DeRozan specifically, is so hard to talk about because the divide between hashtag true hoopers and the analytics people on him is so vast. The truth is somewhere in the middle. I think that he's gonna play. It seems like, I don't know if you're seeing the same stuff, but it seems like he's gonna play a little bit power forward for that team. I mean, it just, I get the sense that the vibes are really good around that team. Like they all seem like they're getting along. They all seem like they're playing with good energy. I think they're going to be better than people think. Like
you're getting some of that grass is always greener vibes. Are you worried about? Does that mean you're worried about your own vibes? No one's ever said the Bulls have good vibes.
I've been watching them.
This is news, man.
I'm projecting my own I watched like 3 minutes of every team on preseason, and I just project everything on that.
All right, let's finish with this. Okay. What are the 3 biggest Laker fan feeder teams? What are the teams that you guys as a farm club have been supplying that you cheer for the most? I want to say how to rank them. I mean, it's got to be the Bulls with Caruso and Bull.
Number 1. Yeah,
you got to have the Wizards because you just traded for Westbrook and they already had Thomas Bryant. So you got Thomas Bryant, you got KCP,
Kuzma,
you got Kuzma,
Harrell,
and then you still got the Pelicans, I'd assume.
Pelicans. Listen,
you got Ingram and Josh Hart. I don't know if I'm missing anybody.
I think those 3 would be the big ones. Lonzo leaving New Orleans made it a little less like just direct, but still, I'd say those are the 3. There's a little bit of I'm trying not to be too much of an arrogant big market guy. There's a little bit of Schadenfreude when the Pelicans struggle from a Lakers side, because that whole saga that went over when the trade was finally made, and I certainly think that, you know, the way the Lakers handled themselves at the onset when AD initially asked for the trade, you know, not great. But when that trade happened, there was plenty of, you know, are we sure the Pelicans didn't win this trade kind of stuff that kind of bubbled up. And there was a lot of talk about how well the Pelicans are run and how great everything is and how cutting edge they are and all that. It's not looking so great, is it?
It's not looking great. I will say, what is
free
looking great?
Brandon Ingram.
No, what is looking great is that 2022 Lakers pick coming to my Grizzlies.
Get on.
I'm liking that. Just keep it 10 through 15. That's all I want. 10 through 15.
Is there any protection on it?
Top 10, the Pelicans get to keep it.
Okay. So okay.
If you have one of the 10 worst records, but I mean, I can handle, you know, if 538's right and you guys are like an 8-7-8 seed, which I again strikes me as slightly preposterous. We haven't done our Western Conference win totals yet. I have the Lakers higher than that, but I will always be cheering for much, much lower. Anyway, Damon, thanks as always, and I look forward to you coming on again soon.
Yes, sir.
All right, thanks, man. That was awesome.
Yes, sir.
All right, bud. I'll see you.
All right, man.